All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the Morning Star coming to you live from Star TV. And of course, like I said earlier on, because we were expecting to have Honorable Bakary Badji, the National Assembly member for Fonyi Bintang, to join us today to talk about some key points regarding the statement of the President on the SONA yesterday, the 18th of Thursday, the 18th of June on Thursday, at the National Assembly building, which is definitely a constitutional requirement because it's according to Section 77, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Gambia. Because some key points were said, and it was definitely, interesting. And then we are here today to talk about some of the key points together with Mr. Kausu Badji as well. He is definitely with us in this building. But what we are going to do right now, because we've got videos of last year and we've got videos of this year, we are going to just make a little bit of comparison and stuff like that. But we will definitely take a look at those and some videos as well. But before all that, I just want to welcome Honorable Bakary Badji on this platform. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you so very much for welcoming me, which I truly appreciate, and I am also happy to join this discussion. For discussion may reveal many things. If we fail to discuss as a country, we will not achieve what we want to achieve as a nation. But when we sit and discuss, then we will know the way forward, what can we improve on, what are the shortcomings and what are the challenges that we are facing as a nation, which is an important element. That is why I am happy to be here with you today.
Thank you very much. Together with Mr. Badji as well. Good morning, how are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Badji Squire.
Well, absolutely. But I just don't a three-legged Badji.
Lulu ma jahal nak. Te Badji sa su yagge bu don ñeta de ndax doonu ñeta sax la.
No, lulu la ndax nekkul ñeta. Okay, léegi boobu der na.
Waaw man bu la jahal man.
Ben so ñu tu. May ba dayo
Yo har bi rek day bu.
Waaw.
Yo no def da sax si Badji.
Man xam naa Kausu loolu la bëgg a di.
Kausu nga sant Badji la bëgg.
Waaw.
Te nga MC Jaaju.
Good
morning, MD.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. We glorify God Almighty, and it's also a pleasure and privilege to share the platform with Honorable Badji, whom we have followed his dilation at the National Assembly, times without number. And then, like I kept saying in most of my analysis, we will want to get an administrative that is willing to communicate to its people. But we are also willing to get legislative members that are also willing always to communicate to their people. And he is one of those National Assembly members who not are only outspoken in the National Assembly, but even when you invite them on media platforms, they are always willing to speak. So welcome, Honorable, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation within a short notice.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Many people do not have the opportunity maybe to read the statement of the President yesterday, but I just want to read maybe the introduction and some just some key points before we start. Parce que you said the videos of last year, you compare with this year, then you break down in some analysis set fan lañ doon séntu te gisuñ ko ci because Mr. Badji ñu ko dégg moom it mu doon wax lu mel noonu waaye I just want to start with this because ñu ngi gis introduction bi bu ngay wax ne in accordance with the Constitution of the Gambia I feel profoundly honored and uniquely privileged to deliver the 2025 State of the Nation address before this esteemed assembly. This year holds exceptional significance in view of the 60th anniversary of the Gambia's attainment of political independence, a milestone symbolizing 6 decades of sovereignty and collective process. This Diamond Jubilee reflects the tenacity and the values that characterize our nation's journey over the years. During the period, we have learned that chanting a stronger, enduring and brighter future for our nation comes with difficulties and choices to make. Whether we've made the right choices, but first let's begin with watching the video of last year parce que ñu ngi gis some key issues yoo xam ne ni mu ngi ko address but dañ ko bëgg a compare with last year then su ko defee ñu ñëw he talked about our partnership last year because this year tam ñu ngi gis ne President Barrow which is diplomacy and international cooperation. Let's watch this video last year that about partnerships and then we'll come back.
partnerships. Mr. Speaker, we recognize the invaluable role of bilateral and multilateral institutions, donor agencies, foreign governments, and development partners in advancing our national agenda. On behalf of the Gambian people, I extend our deepest gratitude to all of them. The diaspora Gambians, remittances and investments significantly contribute to the country's economic stability and growth. They have definitely reinforced their position as an integral part of our socio-economic progress, and we thank them. The Gambia remains committed to maintaining these partnerships as we work towards sustainable and inclusive national development. So, with deep appreciation, I extend a renewed hand of collaboration to all our development partners.
Closely related to our international visibility is the 15th OIC Summit we successfully hosted last month, during which I became chairman of the organization for the next 3 years. The summit has added great impetus to our international prominence. I re-echo my gratitude to all Gambians and international partners who contributed to the successful hosting of the summit. Proudly for us, the event was rated as one of the most successful summits in the history of the organization. At the bilateral level, we aim to deepen relationships with our partners and explore new fronts that will benefit the nation. The establishment of 2 new embassies in Europe and 1 in Asia, as approved by this distinguished assembly, is a move in that direction. As confirmation of our growing friendship and bilateral relations around the world, 30 diplomats presented their letters of credence to me during last year. In strengthening good neighborliness, we hosted the 3rd biannual Senegalo-Gambian Presidential Council in August 2023 and the maiden walking visit of the new Senegalese president last April. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is in the process of validating its draft foreign service regulation and draft posting policy, in addition to a foreign service bill which will be submitted to the Cabinet for review and approval. These are part of broader efforts to reposition our foreign policy, streamline foreign service operations, and enhance the professionalism and efficiency of our foreign service. Our objective at home and abroad would fail without a strong economy, reliable human resource, and the required infrastructure programs and development efforts. I will therefore turn attention to the economy before moving on to the productive sector.
All right, we've heard, what the president said last year and this year as well, because, some key points were said regarding, diplomacy and international cooperations. These are some of the things you have many. But first, let's have Mr. Kausu Baji to share with us your thoughts on some of these things said by the president the last date and this year as well regarding international cooperation and diplomacy.
Pertaining to international cooperations and diplomacy, but also our Gambia's partners to other countries, for me, yes, he has said some things like the new embassy of Morocco, which is established in the Gambia, but also over 30 people, representatives from other countries that has also submitted their credentials. He's talked about our relationship hosting the 2024 OIC, which has put Gambia in the forefront. But like I thought I could have come second. I really don't want to concur honestly with what Honorable Baji said. These were some of the things that we were expecting. But one thing that I expect and then was to itemize per ministry, because we know in the Gambia we have all the ministries like what we saw last year. Probably, I don't know whether it was the people that were compiling the report or whatsoever. You will realize where he talked about youth welfare, which I understand part of it. He has talked about other issues that he could have probably segmented for a better understanding of my grandmother in the village, or someone who has been, who don't have opportunity to read exactly what we're saying. But I really don't want to go in depth. Like we've already invited the National Assembly member who has already raised his concern, and I don't want it to be like probably we are speaking in concurrence.
You're right. Thank you very much, Mr. Baji, coming to you, because you've had the president, and there are key points that you've raised as well. But regarding international cooperation and diplomacy, our partners outside, because we've had the president to saying, we proudly maintain our status as the human rights capital of Africa, hosting the Continental Human Rights Institution, and in October last year we hosted, the 81st ordinary session of the African Commission on Human Rights and Human and People's Rights, for solidifying our role in, regional human rights advocacy and things like that. What's your take on some of these things?
Thank you very much for the wonderful question asked. When you talk about human rights and we've been praised or whatever happens, at the end of the day, what happens to the farmer, have that improved the life of the farmer, have that improved the life of the civil servant, have that improved the life of the Gambian people. As much as we are praised by the world, what do we feel inwardly? That is the question that we should answer as a nation. So if I am to look at it, is how does that benefit us, and how does that reflect on the realities when we are instituted as a nation? You understand? So that will have been my take, and that will have been the way I will look at things. Now, if we are enjoying that cooperation with other countries in the world, now we are to learn from them in the areas that they perform better than us, and we also improve to the standard that is required, because nobody will respect us if we are not performing. Nobody will respect us if our citizens are suffering. So that is the area we need to improve on. So much so, if we are able to improve their living standard, they are in fact, having visa will be easier for the youth to travel, or whoever wants to travel. But then it cannot be made under this situation, wherein we are poor and our economy is constantly going down, decline. And at the international level, we are saying we are improving our cooperation with them. That in reality does not help the nation in our world.
Is that not effectively impacting our agricultural system?
It has not impacted any of our agriculture system, because through agriculture, because that should have been a separate question of its own, where we have to look at the president addressing the agriculture sector and what he said about agriculture.
Okay.
Yes. All
right. Thank you very much, Mr. Baji. You've had Honorable said, some beautiful things.
Yes, this is, I think this is the best time for me to do the analysis, because one, wow, one, no, I have the conviction that our relationship generally, as no country is an island, so not a small Gambia. So our relationship with the international world has significantly contributed to most of the supports that we are having, ranging from agriculture to security and other technical aids. Because considering the Gambian population, our 60 years of independence, like alluded by the president, there are a lot of things that we cannot do by ourselves. So where I would agree with Honorable to say, I don't think as a country we should continue to depend on support or aid that is coming or going to come from other countries. Because even if you look at our budget, if you look at some of our improvements in agricultural sector, yes, it has impacted. Where he talked about the issue of the irrigation system, the security sector, venturing into agriculture, and then not depending only on red-fed agriculture, but also going into introducing irrigation system. That's a plus. But in reality, does that impact the livelihood of the ordinary farmer who is in the village, who depend only on rain-fed agriculture, who has to wait for rain to come for him to till the land, work for a period of 4 or 5 months, and then probably not even have an influence to decide how much would he sell, or he or she sell the kilo of his or her groundnut. These are some of the things that we want as an administration. We want to see whereby, okay, the farmer would say, like, if the body responsible, like GGC would say, we are selling fertilizer at this amount, they had the prerogative to sell, and then they decide their price. We want to see our people, that is the farmers, deciding also that we want to sell our groundnut at this price, and then that is where they negotiate to reach a consensus, but not only it coming from the state level to say we would be buying groundnut at this level. I think this is something that, I don't say there is no improvement. Yes, there has been improvement, but we want to see a better status of the people that they represent, but of us who had the opportunity to be on the platform to talk about it. This is why I said, for me, yes, we need the international relations, but it's not necessarily directly impacting the ordinary livelihood of the ordinary Gambian, more specifically in certain sectors of the productive sector.
Thank you so very much. Ms. Maria Madam, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of the same thing, you know, in as much as we want, you know, a good reputation outside there and also a good relations with other countries, you know, we should also ask ourselves, what are we going to benefit from these, you know, diplomacies or corporations, right? It's not just about us, you know, being there, signing, you know, bilateral relations, you know, agreements and all that. Is this reflecting, you know, on ground or not? So I think it's very important that we talk about these issues. It's not just about, okay, we have a good relationship with Senegal, we have a good relationship with Ghana, but what is this, you know, relationship bringing for the Gambian people? I think this is where, you know, the questions would lie.
Yeah, thank you. But talking about our global standing in terms of human rights and the like, what do you have to say about that? Because we had him say in 2025, my government participated in the Universal Periodic Review and presented the country's human rights record before the United Nations Human Rights Commission in Geneva. So this marks a significant milestone in its stating our nation's rightful global standing. So do you have a say in this?
In the human rights setting, one of the most important things is right to life, which we as a nation cannot claim that we have. Because looking at insecurity where our people are constantly killed, what action have we taken towards that family? And earlier on in the previous governments, there are allegations that the government were killing people. But the way now our armed robbers are killing us, and the way we are killed, even on your bed, you can be attacked and be killed. So that is a challenge. And one of the most important rights is right to life. Now, when that is not preserved, then we face a challenge as a nation. The other right is right to freedom of movement and freedom of expression and so on and so forth. But also, more important than all those rights is how do you live your life is an important element, because you cannot live your life without food. You cannot live your life without having the actual money when the price of commodities are skyrocketing. Those are things that we should look at. What right are we defending? What right are we talking about? What rights are we presenting? That's important, because the people have to have 2 meals or more meals a day, and they should also have the right to access health. They should have a right to access education. They should have a right to access good roads. Those are the rights that I definitely want the president to look at on how we are to achieve those things. Because if we are having this skyrocketing of price and so on and so forth, and we claiming that they are still right when the people cannot afford basic commodities, then it's a challenge. So in looking at that from another perspective, that is definitely another issue. And when you look at among the rights is the right to protest, for instance. But we have seen the youths of this country who seek for permit. At the end of the day, they are not granted the permit. So in other words, sometimes when you are praised by the West, it does not mean it is what is actually reflecting on the ground. Most of our leaders that are praised by the West are satisfying the West to a certain extent. They do not satisfy us in reality. Look at Ibrahim Traoré. He may not have been praised by the West, but he is satisfying the people of Burkina Faso. And we must face the reality. We cannot camouflage the situation. Thank you.
You talked about you talked about security in that, because though we do not have the video, but I just want to read this so that you can share your thoughts on this thing, because the dedication of our citizens in uniform echoes the resilience spirit of our people. So the commitment to peace and security continues to reinforce national security and safeguard the public order. That's what he said.
He is also entitled to his opinion to a certain extent. But then we as the followers, those that are following him, he is leading us in the journey. We are telling him that we have given him enough security. but he have not given us what we have given him in return. We as Gambian people are not secured in all the senses.
But
where a paramilitary officer was shot to death, you understand? So imagine what have happened to the citizens, the ordinary citizens. That is a cause for concern in reality. And I want the people to be realistic as much as possible, because you cannot fake the situation. If the situation is hard, if the governance process is hard, you must be bold enough to come and tell the people that it is difficult, I can't. You understand? That is honor for you. That is dignity for you.
But despite all that, Honorable, the Gambia is still ranked to be among the safest countries in Africa, in fact West Africa per se, because the Gambia is peaceful. That's what people keep saying. So despite some of the
I definitely agree that the Gambia is peaceful by our nature, that we are peaceful from the onset, and we have ever been peaceful. You understand? But looking at where we came from and where we are going to, in reality, we have indeed enjoyed better peace than today as we're talking. And we have indeed enjoyed a safer environment than today. So we can still do better. It is not like if other countries in Africa are involved into crime, so we should also involve into crime and allow our people to die to that extent. We can still do better because of looking at our population. We can secure ourselves in a more improved manner than you can imagine, than the president have said it. You understand? So that is something that we can achieve. And by our nature, as I said, we are peaceful people in reality, very, very peaceful. That is not what the president brought. But the president, as we said, insecurity, he is the one who is pioneering it and leading it forward.
Council Baji, concerning security, because I'm not from the honorable some of these claims are accused, but
no, the reality is by studies and indicators, the Gambia is more secure now than ever before. That is what the record says. It's not an opinion. These are fact things that not only the Gambia, but international institutions like Reporters Without Borders, international other reports has shown that because for one thing, peace does not necessarily mean the absence of war. And then I keep saying this, for me, I don't expect a legislative or a National Assembly member to blame the executive for issues that has to do with price, because they are the lawmakers. They are elected by their representative to make laws that are going to address the burdens of their people. So the executive is not there to make laws. They are there to ensure that the facilitation and implementation. So yes, as a party, I can, because they had a representative, the National Assembly member. But as the representatives of the executive, for me, we should blame the National Assembly in general for when it comes to price and price-related matters, because they should make laws to protect internal competitors. Like if investors come and invest in the country, there are no specific laws that are protecting them from external competitors. And this is what you see in all the neighboring countries. I kept saying it. Whatever is produced in another country, you don't just get it to that country overnight. You need to make sure that all the checks and balances are there. And what makes that is the laws. And who made those laws is the National Assembly. So for me, our National Assembly members, all Gambians, an explanation as per why there is no specific protection for internal business competitors. Why are our prices not predictable? Why are they not raising awareness on the Rent Act that is already enacted and people are not aware? That is not the responsibility of the executive. That is the responsibility of the legislative. As per security, records have shown that the Gambia is more secure than ever before. And the reason is fear and security are two different things. Fear, there was an induced fear factor as per Gambians to a point that what we do and was not publicized. A fraction of that is done now and it is publicized. With the advent of social media and other private institutions in private media houses has also raised the level of access to information to the Gambians. Introducing the bill to now an act, that is the Access to Information Act, has also increased citizenship, that is ordinary citizens holding government accountable, which is a very good move. So which we will give them credit as it happens in their time. But looking at the two balances, I think, and I know very well, that Gambia, because report has shown, that Gambia is more secure now than ever before. However, there are more reports of issues happening negatively now than also ever before as a result of availability of private media houses and also on online platforms or social media platforms.
But regarding the law,
I want to come to that level. As he have alluded that we have rent amendment bill that have been passed successfully. Now, there are things that the masses don't understand.
which is?
That is, we are responsible for legislating the law. You understand? But we do not implement the law.
Okay.
That is an important element that I want my brother also to note as an important element. Now, we legislate the law, that which is the Rent Act, or the rent bill that we just passed.
Yeah.
And we were a part of the people that went sensitizing the people. I hold the mic in Serekunda Market, you understand, going towards Brikama, going up to this place, Basse. The mic, I was holding it. You understand? In Java Swama. In fact, people were laughing at me. You understand? I hold the mic from locality to locality, try to gather people and sensitize them and ask them what they think their opinion is regarding the rent bill. That was exactly what we did. You
That was at the bill level.
Yes, at the bill level before it is passed.
Once it is passed.
Then we pass it. Now, once the bill is passed, it has been published all over newspapers that we have passed this bill. And remember, we are not only working on one bill. Remember, we are not working only on one bill. We are working on more than 20 bills at a time. And we do not have that actual time to concentrate on only one bill. Now, our responsibility as a National Assembly is once the bill is enacted or passed, then it becomes an act. Then the responsibility of the government as an executive to implement it to the fullest. We cannot be legislating and also implementing. Then it becomes monotonous and we will cross the borders. You understand? Where we need to check and balance and see where the government is doing this or that, where the government have spent this and that. So there it becomes a challenge. The other issue that you don't understand more about the National Assembly is we have more of the NPP members. In fact, to a certain extent, we can debate on other things. Many bills have been introduced into the National Assembly, the likes of which are the bill that was introduced by Honorable Suleiman Sao, so as to amend the constitution regarding seeking permit for the protest. But it has failed. Yaya also came and introduced a bill. It also has failed. So now it is not wise sometimes for you to waste your time, waste your resources to introduce a bill. At the end of the day, is what NPP wants. Is what prevails as a National Assembly.
But so NPP don't have an absolute majority in the National Assembly.
They have an absolute majority in the National
Assembly.
No,
absolute. They don't have an absolute.
When I say absolute majority, you must know what prevails in the National Assembly. Among the things that prevail is a simple majority that works by. It's not absolute majority.
Yes.
So when we talk about absolute majority, when we are not going by absolute majority, we are going by simple majority. That is exactly what we are going by. So there we have a challenge. And the laws are there to regulate the price. But who implements it? The Ministry of Trade. Look at what the President said yesterday about the Ministry of Trade. And he fails to talk about the plans that he puts in place to address the price of food commodities. For instance, in the Ministry of Trade, they do not tell us how they want to connect the Gambia, the businessmen, to where the products are coming from directly, so as to remove the middlemen that are causing the price to escalate to a certain level. And as a government, it's about the president and the cabinet and his cabinet ministers that should think critically on the way forward. And also not going further to that, but because he have I am Chokosle, now yes.
Just one thing that I disagree with is, despite that being the reason, I don't think I disagree with you saying, before wasting your time to do this,
exactly.
you should not, bother to table another bill or whatsoever, because there must be a bill that those that are, NPP will definitely agree to. I believe so. So
the rent bill was tabled by Honorable Madisisi
from the UDP.
Yeah.
So that was not
yes. The rent bill was tabled by Madisisi. You understand?
Yeah.
But also the rent bill affected the NPP members in their homes where they are. Most of them are renting.
But Honorable, is the National Assembly member should it be on a party base or should it be on constituency?
What you and I have seen.
No, but this is my point.
The reality is, I am not in a party base. You know that, and they all know that. You understand?
Yes.
But in reality, 90% of national, 95% of national assembly are on a party base, and that you and I cannot stop. Because what I told the people is clear, that as we enter into the National Assembly, you have an issue where someone will say the majority leader side, majority caucus, and minority caucus. There are the division starts.
Yeah.
You understand? And that is something that we as a nation can work on.
Okay.
And when you allow them to be voted on the party ticket, most of them can never let go of party ticket. Now, for instance, when we are coming to vote on any matter, it's the opinion of Barrow that matters to NPP. It's the opinion of other political leaders that matters to other political parties. So that becomes a challenge.
But Honorable, this is my point. In every constituency, there are people that belongs to another camp, regardless of whosoever elects you. And these are people that their voice matters and they should be represented. And that is why I am not blaming individuals. I said the National Assembly, which is responsible for legislation, part of their responsibility is to make sure that government contracts are checked, or agreements, to make sure that the budget that is approved for the national for the whole year, for the whole country, is reviewed and implemented. As a body, not as a party, as a body, that is the National Assembly. Once you give me money to spend on behalf of the Gambians, and I don't spend it, you should hold me accountable. And that is where I am saying, the National Assembly of the Gambia is to be blamed.
Correct. I agree.
What is happening in the Gambia, ranging from non-availability of laws.
If you accumulate this, I cannot respond to that. One of the things that you mentioned here that I need to respond to is, as much as we allocate funds to various ministries, various government institutions, it is our primary responsibility to perform an oversight function on them. That is whether they have implemented as budgeted or not.
Yes.
You understand? There we wanted to introduce program-based budgeting. What those program-based budgeting means, we are allocating this money for you to buy this book. We are allocating this money for you to buy this vehicle. We are allocating this money for you to build that hospital. Now, if that has been implemented properly, but that is also a challenge. Okay. Now, once the ministers and other government institutions, for instance, like the Ministry of Tourism, I can give you a full example. When the Tourism Board presented their report, or they send their dissatisfaction regarding how they were treated, and then we went into the National Assembly. It was a tough debate, and at the end of the day, the ruling government, they believe that they are mandate to protect the minister even when the minister is faulty, even when the minister is not doing the right thing.
As National Assembly members?
Yes. Even when the ministers embezzle government fund, they believe that they is their minister, and they believe that is their responsibility to defend him unlawfully and to protect his image, even if he involved into corruption, even if he embezzle government fund. Now, what I told them is, now, we have allocated money to the ministry and for them to perform, for them to build hospitals or construct schools or whatever it is. But in the event they fail to do that, it should be your responsibility to take them to account, because if they perform at the end of the day, who gets the credit? Your government gets the credit. Perfect. But this is what they fail to understand. And I, as an individual, cannot put it to them for them to understand this reality. I did try my best to the best of my ability. But as a National Assembly and as a nation, we need to reflect on the kind of people that we are voting into the National Assembly, which is a reality. And even if you find Bakari not to be trustworthy, you have to kick him out and bring someone who is trustworthy, who will actually stand for the interests of the nation.
How about if Bakari knows definitely he is not competent and he is not delivering? Would Bakari definitely go back to the people and say, I'm not standing because I'm not contesting because, you will see such a thing like that?
We expect that. We honestly, I want president, because to me, it is surprising that he is mentioning that even wherein they know a state minister defaulted, they will not see him as someone who has defaulted against the majority, but they are seeing him on caller lines. And if this is the case, I stand to be correct, and that's why I'm putting it into a quotation. If this is the case, it comes back to what I said, that the National Assembly is responsible for the failures of Gambians, not party lines, but the National Assembly. If moom su ma la joxee sa xaalis ma joxe xaalis man leen tey ceeb laa bëgg ñu ne ma ne joxe na nga mi junne ñu toogal la ceeb sëñ bi su ma joxee sama xaalis su ma ñëwee war naa fekk ceeb si kër gi su ma fa fekkul ceeb yi su teel mi waaye nga joxe ma ceeb
Ekangulaay nga waroon a jël as an exemple
non xam nga saa mënatu toog
Ekangulaay la xam nga Ekangulaay national assembly reporter ici Mariama Dem Mariama because yow moom assembly bi sa kër
waaw kiram la
waaw yow xam naa ci mën a di nga mën a yëy yaa bi ci wax jooju noonu
Yeah, I would agree at certain points, on what he has said, regarding, them being there just for, their parties. To be honest, there have been a lot of bills that have been, introduced to Parliament. But when you witness the debate, you tend to wonder who are these people representing at the National Assembly, But also, it's not an excuse for a National Assembly member to say, okay, because these people are not going to agree with me on my bill, then I'm not going to introduce any bill. Introduce the bill. This is how, you expose these people to Gambians who elected them into office, right? You bring your bill, you feel like, okay, we should introduce a bill that should talk about, price control, how to, control these things. Introduce the bill at Parliament as a National Assembly member and see who is going to vote for it and who is going to vote against it. So this is how Gambians also get to know the people they have sent at the National Assembly and what they meant, Are they there to represent me, or are they there just to represent themselves or their parties? So I think this is the way also you can also hold within yourself to, to account as to, are you here for why you are elected, or are you here just to be here for the sake of being a National Assembly member and being paid, Because it's even, disheartening to see some members, I've seen some members since they were sworn into office, they have never stood, and say something about their consequences, So sometimes I wonder, okay, so these consequences are not, constituencies are not, facing any challenges at all, because I have seen it. I've been to the National Assembly for ages. I know those who participate and those who don't participate. To be honest, Bakari Baji, it's not because Honorable Bakari Baji, it's not because he is here, but he's very vocal when it comes to, issues that are being raised at the National Assembly. And sometimes also, even those that, are within the NPP line, they also sometimes speak up, like Kebalang Fofana. He's a nominated member, but he, performed more than all the National Assemblies, who are even in the opposition party. So we should, give credit where it is due, but you don't take excuses because, we are minority in the National Assembly. We are not going to do what we are supposed to do because we are afraid that, the bill is not going to be passed because we are minority, but it's really disheartening to see how some members, react to national issues that are affecting Gambians directly.
Thank you very much, Mariama.
Yeah.
Because you've mentioned something very, very important to look at, because you said the address lacks some concrete, concrete details about on key national issues. But you said the issue of trade, industry, and regional integration. If you can watch that video and then come back, please. Yeah, trade, industry, and
welfare. Mr. Speaker, my government will continue investing in youth advancement so that young people can participate maximally in national development and experience a vibrant ecosystem development needs. In August 2023, I launched the in collaboration with the University of the Gambia. The program equips and prepares young university graduates for the job market. Today, I am pleased to announce that so far, 88 youths have completed their national service program. While the NYSS will maintain recruiting young people for the apprenticeship training program, the Gambia Songhai Initiative will equip university graduates has commenced with 1 placed in various institutions as part of their civic responsibility to the nation. The senior school graduates are also undergoing a 2-year technical and vocational education on entrepreneurship training and access to startup grants and loans for young people. This year, NEDI will maintain direct support to about 50 young entrepreneurs. To put it briefly,
trade, industry, regional integration, and employment. Honorable Speaker, through the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration, and Employment. My administration remains committed to enhancing trade, fostering private sector development, propelling industrialization, and ensuring the effective functioning of the labor market. Recent measures to mitigate external shocks thus include stabilizing prices and ensuring the availability of essential food commodities. Furthermore, we now give priority to vessels carrying essential goods to avoid undue charges, and we provide subsidies for flour and fuel. We also engage with the central bank to ensure foreign exchange availability for essential commodity suppliers. In 2023, the administration negotiated with the government of India and secured a waiver for rice imports on a concessional basis, with a new extension granted for 2024. This incorporates an allocated quota of 150,000 metric tons for the Gambia. Discussions to include sugar in this waiver support are progressing. In collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, the country secured a $50 million trade finance facility from Badia to support the importation of essential food commodities and fuel. The facility is to facilitate continuous availability and affordability of these commodities. Mr. Speaker, the People's Republic of China granted the Gambia duty-free quota-free market access in 2017 for products like groundnuts, cashew, sesame fish, and cassava. In 2023, this coverage was extended to include 98% of the Chinese tariff. To take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area, we have launched the Green Industrial Transformation through Special Economic Zones and Agropoles program. The objective is to establish a climate-resilient, sustainable Special Economic Zone and 3 agropoles to accelerate.
All right, coming back, Mr. Baji, before we play that video, I was talking about some of the things you disagree with by saying his address lacks some some concrete details on key issues, key national issues, such as youth empowerment, inflation, accountability, and the like. So the president was talking about trade, industry, and employment, and the like. You were there yesterday. You heard what the president said. How would you, how would you access his statement yesterday?
Now, when we talk about trade, industry, and employment, this is an important element where the president spoke about it. And what the president said, he continued to drive policies and initiatives to strengthen trade. But policies are there, as we always say, and the laws are there, my brother. You understand? We cannot tell ourselves that we are just initiating laws until now. What have improved in terms of trade? Now, trade cannot go any, because he failed to talk about the other part of it is an official launching in November 2024 to facilitate trade, improve efficiency at various locations. Following this, the Trade Logistics Council was inaugurated on the 20th January 2025 to oversee and monitor the implementation of charter. You see, yes, after all this, we as a nation, how can we feel this? You understand? How can we realize this? When the way we can realize it is, as we sit, you and I are talking today, there is no cement in the country, or there is shortage of cement in the country, which you and I know. But now we are expecting the president to come and tell us, I intend to address the issue of shortage of cement. This and that are the strategies that I have put in place to address it. The other issue that he could have talked about is, with regards to trade, we are intending to reduce the price of food commodities. With regards to trade as well, we are also looking at inflation and how it is affecting us. With regards to unemployment, or with regards to employment, we can say, I promise to create 150,000 jobs before 2026. But now, I am able to create 100,000 jobs or 75,000 jobs. We are at this stage. You understand? But he failed to tell us about those things, and he failed to acknowledge some of the real problem that the Gambia is faced with.
But he did mention about the Lumo modernization, which is definitely key as well, by saying they've constructed Lumo in Wellinga.
Yes, after constructing the Lumo, more important than constructing the Lumo is the price, because everybody wants to be able to afford something to take home. So after constructing, what is the price? What price are they buying it for?
Does that not address the situation?
It actually did address a situation. That I acknowledge it addressed a situation. But bigger than that, we are looking at a bigger picture. And as I always say, which is important in governance, that how does it improve into the life of the Gambian people? Are they able to afford it? Now, if you're able to construct a Lumo, at the end of the day, things are very expensive, that you go with 10,000, and at the end of the day, you have nothing to return with at home, then it's a challenge. Where our dollar is constantly depreciating, and we've seen this high marketing of prices here and there and everywhere, then that is what we need to address. That is more a burning issue to me. Yes. But it does not mean that what I say is the best or what I say should be adhered to. But for me, that is more a burning issue. The affordability of the Gambian people in the market. Where are they able to afford food commodities in the market?
Thank you, Mr. Faji. Let me turn to you for you to share your view on some of these things.
Yes, the fact is when it comes to the depreciation of the Dalasi, is because we are not protecting the Dalasi as we should protect it, and which both the executive has a role as well as the National Assembly. Because for me, there is already a law which says that when it comes to the currency of trade in the Gambia, it should be Dalasi. So which they have already, the law is already there. What should happen is the enforcement. You see people coming up to Banjul and take CFA to buy things and move on. In fact, there are people that are petty traders in the Gambia that will come up to our capital city and they'll tell you, Safe Allah, no problem, I am not putting up any accusation. These are things I've witnessed personally. I was at a shop buying something in the capital city, trading and not any other capital city.
The law is there.
Yes, the law is there. That is what I said.
Now, who is the implementing body?
Now that is what I said. But who is responsible for holding that body? That's why I said for them, the law is already there. Enforcement of the law, if they default, when they come back for their budget, until and unless you begin to cut people's budget on need basis of the Gambians, because every year you are approving new vehicles for them.
When you cut budget, it does not affect the minister. It does not affect the permanent secretary. Listen to me. It affects those junior workers that are working in
the ministry. The ministry is not the minister, neither the PS. One thing that
once it affects the ministry, it does not affect the minister. It affects the junior workers. That's what I'm talking about. And in our mandate as a responsibility, we are not looking at the interest of the minister. We are looking at those junior workers that are under the ministry.
That is where
and they will be the people that will be underprivileged once you cut the budget.
Yes. I think we want to solve a problem. For me, in solving a problem, it doesn't matter where it starts. What needs to be done, let it be done, and gradually, as it keeps affecting everybody, for me, I believe before it will even affect the junior staff, it may even affect the minister and his permanent secretary, because these are the people that travel the most. These are the people that travel the most. The cleaner hardly travels.
Yes, but then if you cut the budget, their travel will always be there.
Why?
And they will via and continue to via. You understand? And that will be endorsed by the executive by order.
No, Harama Atalen, because people are going to invite me. There is a very important point you've mentioned about, the president creating jobs, over 150,000 jobs creations and the like. I will come to that, but by Indi Mariama, relax because we was on the issue. But
yeah, cutting of budgets, to be honest, I'm not here to agree with honorable or not, but this is the reality. So this is what happened. No, it's not because but this is the reality.
Assembly became
wow. Why tamit comme like this is the reality comme budget bi suñ ko côté comme nekul ñi nga comme ministre bi lolu du ko affect permanent sector lolu du ko affect junior staff yi lam day affect exactly because suñ côté budget that lolu do stop from the ministers from traveling, that will not stop them from getting the fuel coupons that they are getting, that will not stop their allowances. So what's the essence of cutting their budgets if these things it's not affecting them.
Yeah.
The moment it's not affecting them directly, then they don't feel the pain.
Okay.
And at the end of the day,
exactly,
we will go down to those junior officers and tell them that the National Assembly is the one who
cut your budget.
And they will not tell them the reality of what they did.
Exactly. So but the only thing that I have a problem with when it comes to this budget is when it comes to the Ministry of Youth and Sport, you know, the Ministry of Gender. Like their budget is very, very small. Yeah. And then like often like the National Assembly's members don't even talk about these things. So why are they not even talking about that? Because Ministry of Youth and Sport, these are two combined ministries, right? You have youth, you have sports, and then all the time you hear, youth employment, youth empowerment, women empowerment. But when it comes to budget, these things are not reflected in the budget. So what is the problem?
We have raised that concern as well to the ministry for the Ministry of Youth and Sport for their budget to increase, and the Ministry of Gender and Children Welfare. We have raised that concern, to be very honest with you. And what they told us is, they said these ministries are also found in the Ministry of Education, they are found in the Ministry of Agriculture. So youth empowerment is not only with the Ministry of Youth, according to the minister's response. You understand? It's not only, the women are also found in various ministries as well. So they put money into those ministries than putting it into the Ministry of Youth and Ministry of Gender.
There was the essence of creating these ministries. So they are not giving that budget that they...
I definitely agree with you. I think I have to cut this there. Because I just want us to address this key important thing, because we're not signaling the time, Jonathan. We've got so many things to talk about, so we're going to go anyway. But you said the president didn't mention about the job creation that he said that he was going to create 1,500 jobs. So whether we do not know whether it's 5% completed or 10%.
No, he said 150,000.
50,000. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So you were talking about this. How concerned are you, and what really are you expecting the president to say?
My brother, one of the things that we need in the country the most as youths, you see the Gambian college students have completed from PTC, HTC, that is advanced diploma and diploma courses that they are doing, and we have seen people that have completed HDA and CGA in agriculture, and we have seen people that have completed the School of Nursing and the School of Public Health, but most of them are not employed. So that is where the problem lies. Now, you see this crime rate as we are talking. I wish I do not actually agree with my brother that the Gambia is crime-free and we are improving. I do not agree with it, regardless of what the report says, because the report may be biased. And what is the authentication of that report as well? So now, what I am telling you is, the unemployment is a challenge. It causes youth to involve into so many things. It allows also youth to involve into illegal migration. This is a concern for me. And when the youth are not employed, then they are frustrated. Then anything can happen, because they must live and they must survive. They must find their way out. And that is where we can secure ourselves and secure our youth, secure our nation. And the president should have addressed that and should have told us how much, how far have he gone in creating that 150,000 jobs. And before you say anything, you must know whether this, what I'm saying, is attainable or not. As government, I honestly agree that we cannot, I don't want to use this word, but we cannot actually be deceiving our people. We must be realistic. And government without realistic, they will not attain anything, my brother.
Thank you very much. Council, because
I think it's also important that we talk about, you said, he didn't mention any, thing that has to do with supporting farmers, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. What's your concern?
The concern.
I mean, we cannot talk and then without talking about agriculture. This is a sector that is, is the backbone of our economy. Honestly, so we have to talk about it.
That's it. He said agriculture is a provision of fertilizer and satisfied seeds. You understand? From 1965 to date, we have been provided with this thing. Satisfied seeds, fertilizer, satisfied seed, fertilizer. Is that the way to improve agriculture as Gambians? And Gambians are watching all this happening, and we are seeing this happening. What can we do about this thing? 1965, Jambango fele, aning Fenko fele, Turo fele. What the man? I left to abuse your improving agriculture only on that. And we responded. He said also here. He said they are able to reduce the price for fertilizer. But how did they reduce the price of fertilizer? By subsidizing. They subsidized 580 million in 2024 on subsidizing fertilizer, which is not realistic. I am not a fan of subsidizing, and I will never be a fan of subsidy. Because where are you taking the money from to subsidize. You must be able to face reality. That the chemical fertilizer is not what we want as a nation. We want organic fertilizer, and we must transform that organic fertilizer that we can produce. We need to educate our farmers, and we need to mechanize agriculture for us to have the kind of product that we want as a nation. But without that, my brother, we are failing in reality, and as a nation, we must be take the bull by the horn and face the reality.
The issue of livestock, because mine is over 4,000 small ruminant fattening and breeding scheme implemented nationwide. Do you have something to say about that?
We went to some of the grounds and nothing was found there. Nothing, absolutely. We found the structures. Some of the structures in certain areas. But honey, they are killing them. The agriculture committee, honey, they are killing them. But we went to some of the areas.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, we came back and we out as usual at the National Assembly.
Yes. No, this is some of the things that I said. They had committees. They went there, they didn't see it. When the minister came, what have they done?
We have asked them. They said they are on the process, and the president here is giving us another report, which we need to go back and confirm. And also, before now, when the minister says something, it has to take us time. You understand? For us to go back, because we have many activities. During session, we cannot go on committee activities. Until then, now this is an information given to us. Now it's our duty to go back again and verify. Now, if it is found that it's not true, then we come back and take minister to account. And then, on the normal circumstances, we have been the president for us to put pressure on him by asking him critical questions.
Yes, but the fact is, the reality, yes, I agree, the president's presence is important, but the president is not the minister responsible for all these areas, and there is no way that he can come and answer to all these areas. So for me, I still believe that getting the state ministers coming for them to respond to things, they understand it better because it is their ministry. The president is doing an oversight function.
My brother, let me tell you one thing that you may not understand. One of the questions that we have always asked, the reason as to why economic forces are still here. And no minister could answer that question. So now we need the president to come and answer for us.
I don't want to make any comment on that subject matter.
Anyway, I just want to split things. Do you have something to say? But just one more thing, just please.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, because how about mechanized land preparation for upland and lowland farming by producing the required machines, like 180 tractors, 20 rotavator boots, he said have been produced for development during the 2025-2026 cropping season.
We are in 2025. So we are yet to see it. We are yet to see it until when we confirm it. We are yet to see the major follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maria, please.
I mean, before we go, he could just, tell us his overall, impression or, whatever regarding the nation address. And then, as a National Assembly member too, what message do you have for Gambians out there as far as,
And as he said, for the issue of, for the issue of the diaspora, he said they are showing concern and they are also contributing to the remittance of the country. But then that is an irony. In the other side, you are denying them from voting. Your National Assembly members are denying them from voting. That is directly you, because they go by your advice.
Have you voted against that or in for that?
That day I had a funeral, so I went to the funeral. But when I came, because we have agreed, when we were at Mency Hotel, we had a workshop there, that we agreed that the diaspora should vote. We all agreed. But then that U-turn at once, that was so unexpected. It was truly unexpected. So now you are telling us that we want you concern and national the diasporas are providing to the nation, and you admit that they are contributing, but yet they are Gambians and you allow them the right to vote, which is a fundamental human right on them. And now we come to the other point. What human right are we talking about?
Can I come? Yes, just two things. Because one, for me, I've been an election observer, and I've observed election both in and outside the Gambia.
Exactly.
When it comes to Anglophone countries, can you share with us Anglophone countries that actually encourages people that are of that country that travels outside to vote? I saw that to be a Francophone law, and which I have observed also in other Francophone countries. But when it comes to Anglophone, 1, 2, then would we not shift that blame from the executive to you guys? Because you made the laws that the IEC is responsible for demarcation of election constituencies, and people register where they vote. The diaspora, where will they register and where do they vote? You never put up that law and you want them to vote.
There is a law that we are talking about. There is a law that we are talking about. There is an act already that we are talking about.
Yes.
In this act that we are talking about, that is the election bill. That's actually what we are talking about.
Yes.
And it came to the National Assembly. And we spoke about the demarcation of the diaspora.
Yes.
But the NPP rejected. That's it.
The National Assembly rejects.
No. The National Assembly is divided between the majority and the minority. You understand?
Okay.
And most of the NPP members voted against it. You understand? And then we will say NPP reject it. Because we know they have simple majority.
Okay, MPP is not the cabinet. I'll take that.
Is he NPP?
Astaghfirullah.
It's not a question.
I am non-political.
Thank you. And finally, to Star TV, Yes, it is good that you have this combination, and I want to thank all of you for actually talking about the situation of the country, and we have to disagree sometimes.
Yeah.
And when we disagree, it does not mean we are enemies.
Yeah,
it means we want the best for ourselves. And when we see that our thinking is not the best, then we will be able to accommodate others as a nation. But sometimes it's very sympathetic that we live as a nation and we cannot tolerate one another, we cannot tolerate each other's view. We only know how to insult on social media and other platforms, which is bad for us as a nation. So we must see how to remedy certain situations by discussing and putting up our concern politely, calmly, and collected, so that others can absorb it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much for coming.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure having you. And I'm pretty much sure we are going to have you again, because we wanted to talk about so many things. Believe me. And then,
we absolutely going to have him again, because he also want to vie for the presidency next year. So we are going to have a separate conversation. So you are going to come back, and then we so we can talk about
the reason why I didn't talk about that, because is the Bimo Gina right now, that enough time. But you're going to come back definitely. So when you talk about your political ambition, your plans ahead of these elections coming and things like that. But once more, we thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you, and we're looking forward to have you again. To Mr. Baji as well, we have to thank you. You are the MD. This is your ground.
Absolutely. Yeah, just that I was also expecting, but I know time wouldn't have permitted us. Wow. That is the biggest allegation that they have committed. That is the biggest suicide of the year. Wow. That they have protected themselves and people in cabinet, but didn't protect other citizens. But I know time will not permit us. Exactly. That is when it comes to...
We will come to that.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Thank you very much.
Definitely he's going to come back. Thank you so much. Anyway, on behalf of my team here, Maimuna Jaju and Mariama Demseka, and Mr. Baji as well, together, the Baji Squire. Thank you so much. Monday, inshallah, we'll be back for another edition of the Morning Star. Thank you.